in environmental policy, not many notions are object of total consensus. One reason is that in the academic realm, it is not rare that terms mean one thing in one discipline and another thing in another discipline, such as the expression property rights. In economics, it has one content, and in law, it has another content. Also, notions and concepts are interpreted and valued differently according to different theoretical and philosophical frameworks. So, as environmental policy is an area to which many theoretical strands contribute and many disciplines, it is useful for us to be aware of the main approaches and recognize what underlines their arguments. In this class, we will discuss the main strands and arguments upon some key concepts and ideas such as environment, sustainability, sustainable development. So, let's move on to the first one, environment. What do we mean by the term environment? If you search the meaning of the term in dictionaries, you will find at least one aspect in common. Environment is defined as the set of conditions or circumstances by which one is surrounded. Which one meaning an organism or an ecological community. And these conditions and circumstances include physical, chemical, and biotic factors, such as climate, soil, and living things. And in most definitions, they add also social, cultural, and aesthetical conditions. Collins, when he defines environment, he adds, environment is anything outside an organism. The human environment for him includes the country or region or town or house or room in which a person lives. A parasite's environment includes the body of his host. In specialized dictionaries, environment dictionaries, it is also common to refer to many different environments, all intimately linked and in combination constituting the whole Earth and atmosphere system. They vary in scale, the environments, from microscopic to global environment, and may be subdivided according to their attributes. The term built environment, for instance, has been applied to areas such as cities created by human activity. In the built environment, the human element has a dominant role in modern environmental studies, and as a result, environmental science includes not only the traditional science such as chemistry, physics, and biology, but also engineering, economics, sociology, politics, and law. So, as you see, the study of the environment is thus very much interdisciplinary in its nature. There are also institutional and legal definitions. For the United Nations, environment means the totality of all the external conditions affecting the life, the survival, and development of life. The European Environmental Agency chose this definition. Environment is a concept which includes all aspects of the surroundings of humanity, affecting individuals and social groups. In the United States, there is no explicit definition of environment in their National Environmental Policy Act, but it is interpreted broadly to include physical, social, cultural, economic, and aesthetic dimensions. And in this context, it is defined to mean the whole complex of physical, social, cultural, economic, and aesthetic factors which affect individuals and communities, and ultimately determine their form, character, relationship, and survival. In the Brazilian law, environment is defined as the group of conditions, principles, influences, and interactions of a physical, chemical, and biological nature that enables, shelters, and rules all forms of life. So, in conclusion, we can see that environment is not a mere thing or a group of material things. It is rather a set of relations among natural and cultural built factors, static factors, and relations among these relations. It's kind of weird, but if you think of the definition of quality of water, the quality of water is the condition of the water, including chemical, physical, and biological characteristics. But it is defined with respect to its suitability for a particular purpose, such as drinking or swimming or fishing. It is so a relation among biological, physical, and chemical substances, their properties, combinations, and synergies. Now the definition of environmental impact. Environmental impact is defined as any change to the environment resulting from human activities, facilities, products, or services. The impact is essentially the change provoked by an action, people's actions on the environment. Those actions provoke effects. For example, when volatile organic compounds are released into the environment, the effect is the pollution in form of smog, as we observed in the first class, smog in London and in New York, in this case being a negative impact. It can go in the other way, as a person picking up litter can have a beneficial impact on the local environment. It is generally recognized that there have been two major moments of acceleration of human impact on the world around us. The first of these moments was the development of agriculture, who began about 12,000 years ago. The second moment of acceleration of human impact on the environment occurred about 10,000 years after the development of the first agricultural communities. It was the Industrial Revolution. Up to about the mid-18th century, human societies lived mainly off the energy available from the sun. Very small amounts of coal have been used for domestic purposes. In China, and the Romans also used it. But in the middle of the 18th century, we began to mine and burn coal systematically. And about 100 years later, we started to extract petroleum. The first consequence, it was a concern about resources, especially non-renewable resources, which are limited, and a limited amount on Earth, they are finite. The second consequence is the unintended consequences of our actions. It means that when we first started burning coal and oil, no one suspected that a buildup of CO2 in the atmosphere would lead to a rise in average global temperature. This is one very important unintended consequence of burning fossil fuel. So, we talked about environment, environmental impact. Now let's define environmental risk. Environmental risk is defined as the likelihood or probability of injury, disease, or death resulting from exposure to a potential environmental hazard. Another important term that we must keep in mind is the term preservation and its difference to the term conservation. Environment preservation and conservation are often used interchangeably, but we need to distinguish these terms. Preserving means something that implies keeping it exactly as it is without human interference. Conserving something, on the other hand, might imply managing its existence through human intervention. Thus, saving of natural resources for later consumption can be conveniently referred as conservation, while saving from adverse effects of human action might be better referred to as preservation. In this first section, we discussed the terms environment, environmental impact, environmental risk, preservation, and conservation.